Ryan Blaney wins at Talladega, advances to the round of 8, but a lot of other things to talk about from the Talladega race. We'll talk about it next on NASCAR America Motormouths. Hey everyone, Marty Snider, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte joining you here. Ryan Blaney with a big win at Talladega, but Steve, a lot of talk about Kevin Harvick and being DQ'd after the race. So Rodney Childers said on Twitter after the race that it was unintentional, that the bolts on the top of the windshield came loose during the race. How could that have happened? I mean, Kevin Harvick did say when we interviewed him in the red flag, it was a rough ride for most of that race for him.
Well, the first thing I'll say is if Rodney says it was unintentional, sure, I'll believe him, but intent doesn't matter. The bolts have to stay tight. It's your responsibility as a team to make sure the car's prepared in a certain way, because there are a lot of advantages to messing with the front window. You can have the top of the window kind of grow with temperature and create a trip, which reduces drag. You can let the front window not be sealed very well, which creates some high pressure inside the cockpit, which also reduces drag. So, I'm not going to sit here what exactly happens, because in the end, Marty, I know this is awful to say, but it doesn't matter how it happened. The simple fact is the bolts must be tight. They aren't tight. Therefore, it's against the rules. The 4-car DQ'd. I applaud NASCAR. This had to be an uncomfortable situation for a guy in his last season to throw him out of the second place finish. But I like that NASCAR is sticking strong with the rule book. The only way the rule book's going to be followed if it has to be enforced in good and in bad, and I think that's what they had no choice to do with the 4-car.
Jeff, another big topic of conversation was Brad Keselowski, his wreck with Carson Hocevar. I think you made the point on the broadcast, Brad, probably maybe a little too aggressive at that point, kind of stepping back from it a few hours later now after the race. Do you still believe that was the case, that Brad could have maybe backed it down a little bit?
Well, look, we saw cars pushing other cars, drivers pushing other drivers all day long. Rarely did we see a wreck because of it, but here we did. And so when you're going through the trial, well, the cars are light, and when you push somebody and they spin out, then yes, you have some culpability in it. At the same token, when Carson got out of his car and did an interview, he talked about needing to learn how to be pushed, and maybe he was dragging back too much, meaning he was dragging the brake, or he's off the gas, trying to make a better push. And so, so what that says to me is that, yep, Brad was pushing him and Brad spun him around, but Carson could have had something to do with it as well. So there have been many incidences where Brad has gotten very aggressive and spun some cars out with this car. He's a very aggressive restrictor plate racer. He just is, and he is today. So yes, he has been aggressive, but just simply, it takes two people, right? And the guy in the front does influence what happens in the back. But certainly it did not work out for Brad. I will say it could have been a lot worse. I mean, the fact that he got, he lost 6 points and finished 33rd. So it could have been a lot worse for Brad.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And now he goes to the Roval, where they have not had a lot of road course speed. We'll touch on that later this week. So, Steve, I want to talk to you about the amazing recovery by Denny Hamlin. Gets a speeding penalty, spends, a third of the race down a lap, somehow gets the lap back, and winds up with a top 5. I mean, how in the world did he make that happen?
Well, he persevered and understood what was in front of him to get that lap back, racing against the 2 and some other cars that were a lap down. And I've watched the closing laps of this race many, many times. And as crazy as it sounds, Jeff Burton's line from yesterday fits the 11 perfectly. The line was, sometimes the move you don't make is the exact right move. And if you watch the last 5 or 6 laps of the race of Denny Hamlin, I don't think he makes a single move. He literally runs in the second lane, and as people keep jumping to this third lane and trying different things, he just keeps moving his way up. Now, in the white flag lap, he found his way to a couple more spots, but like right here, you see, he's just 4th car in line, pushing the 7. He's not even poking out. He's not even looking to advance. It was quite remarkable, to be honest. It shows that patience sometimes is rewarded, and for the 11, I think he might look back on this as a major recovery. The points could have gone the other way. Instead, he's going to go to the Roval pretty stress-free.
Thanks for watching NASCAR America Motormouths, presented by Toyota.